Mahomes. So Mahomes is off to this hot start to his career, largely due to his elite surrounding cast. So Shannon, how much of an advantage has Mahomes had over Brady the last 3 years because of his receivers?
Not really. If you look at it, he had Gronk. And many believe Gronk is the GOAT tight end. I've anointed him that, Skip, having played that position, having followed that position. He had 10 years of Rob Gronkowski. He had 6 years of Wes Welker. Wes Welker went to 5 Pro Bowls, averaged over 100 catches a season. He had 3.5 years of Randy Moss, and we know what Randy Moss represents, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's regarded as a top 1, top 2 receiver in all of football. Troy Brown early in his career. So to say that Tom Brady does not have weapons is just not true. Now, maybe he didn't have Gronk and Randy at the same time, but he did have Randy Moss. He did have Rob Gronkowski for a decade. He did have Wes Welker for 6 years, in which Wes Welker averaged over 100 catches, led the league in receiving probably 3 or 4 times. So to try to minimize what Patrick Mahomes is doing because we see these weapons that he has now is not fair. No great player. Joe Montana had Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Roger Craig. We didn't minimize him. Dan Marino, people don't look, but Mark Duper and Mark Clayton, the Marks brothers, were unbelievable. Most great quarterbacks had great receiver. Dan Fouts had John Jefferson, Wes Chandler, had Kellen Winslow. That's just the way it works. Skip, you understand that. It's hard for a running back to make the Hall of Fame, in which he doesn't have at least one offensive lineman to make the Hall of Fame. I mean, make the Hall of Fame without a lineman making the Hall of Fame. Skip, I get it. What it does is that when you talk only about Mahomes' receivers, you minimize what this guy's capable of doing. Now, there'll probably come a time that he won't have Tyreek, that he won't have Kelsey. But the really great ones, because when he lost Gronk for that 1 year, when he lost Wes Welker, when he did not have Randy Moss, Tom Brady still found a way to make it work. Even when Devontae leaves the lineup, Brady, Aaron Rodgers find ways to make it work. He'll find ways to make it work. Skip, don't minimize him by just saying it's the receivers. Yes, they help make his job easier. But these guys weren't what we thought of. How we look at them today, they weren't like that with check down Alex Smith. We know that.
I have no idea what you just said. I don't get it. Because
you're trying to minimize, you and others are trying to minimize what Mahomes is doing because he had Tyreek. You never said Brady benefited from Randy Moss. You've never said
I have to.
So Gronk played a role in that, right?
Okay, my turn. Patrick Mahomes, for his first 3 years, has had an outrageous advantage over Tom Brady. Do you realize that Brady started for 19 seasons in New England? Do you realize that 9 times in 19 seasons, he had 0 Pro Bowl weapons? Zero of his weapons made the Pro Bowl. 9 times out of 19. So let's look back at Mahomes now. The Chiefs, before he took over, 2015, 2016, 2017, they went 11-5, 12-4, and 10-6 and made the playoffs all 3 years. And then just as Tyreek and Kelsey were coming of age, middle of their prime, he got to start with those 2. He also gets to benefit from the play calling of, most people say, the best offensive mind in football today is Andy Reid. Wouldn't you agree with that? Okay. So Tom Brady had to win in spite of a head coach who was all defense all the time. And his coordinators, as we know, were Charlie Weiss, Bill O'Brien. Josh McDaniels did 2 duties of service there as the offensive coordinator. But offense wasn't always the focus, because if Belichick woke up one morning and decided, you know what, we're just going to run the ball tonight or this afternoon, they just ran the ball. So a lot of times, Brady was a prisoner of Belichick's game plan or his philosophy of the night or day, where we got to go this direction.
Well, Skip, I mean, you don't think Andy wants to run the football?
No. I mean, but in the end, Andy's going to throw the football.
Yeah, because
he's just going to throw it. That's who he is, what he does.
Skip, you make it seem like they took the ball out of Brady's hand and they ended up rushing for 40 yards. They were rushing for 200-plus yards.
If they thought they had the advantage.
Yes.
Okay, and Brady never whimpered about it. He never said a word about it.
He shouldn't, because he cared about winning.
Stat-wise, Mahomes is going to just zoom past him.
No, Skip.
Yeah, because when you look at what's about to happen on Sunday evening, Patrick Mahomes won't just have the best receiver on the field. He'll have the 2 best receivers on the field, because Tampa doesn't have a Tyreek, and Tampa, I'm sorry, they don't have a Travis Kelce because nobody has a Travis Kelce who is about to overtake, I think, Gronk as the GOAT tight end. He is on that arc,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. He is basically uncoverable, and Gronk went so far yesterday as to say he's the best player on the team, and I think he meant other than Mahomes.
Right.
But I agree with that. I mean, he scares me even more than Tyreek scares me, and Tyreek scares the hell out of me. But I don't know how you guard this man because he has such a wavelength, Kelce does, with Patrick. When in doubt, they just run option routes in the middle of the field, and they have such rapport, such chemistry, such a bond that Patrick can trust that he's going to wiggle, go. And I don't know. Kelce ran 4.63 at the combine, but he looks like in pads that he's running 4.4. Yeah. His quickness is in the 4.4 region because, as you know, he's got wiggle quickness that a big man just doesn't have.
He's more fluid than Gronk.
Yeah.
Gronk he's robotic.
He's Frankenstein. I mean,
but once he gets ahead of steam,
I got it. And yet he got battered. He got beat up. He took too many shots.
Yes.
So we look back at what Brady's had over 19 seasons. He had 4 Pro Bowl, quote-unquote, weapons. Is Troy Brown really a weapon? I don't know.
He went to the Pro Bowl, though.
I know. He went to the Pro Bowl in Brady's first year in 2001, Brady and Troy Brown. But I'm talking about, other than Brady, the offensive weapons, they had one lone Pro Bowler, and it was Troy Brown.
I was at that Pro Bowl with Brady.
All right.
In
2001. Okay.
Yeah.
So Troy Brown, were you impressed? I don't know. To me, he's just another guy. He was okay, but he could play both ways. He was so good, they would play him at cornerback, right? So I don't know how great a wide receiver he really was. And then they did. They snatched up Randy Moss before the 07 season because he had quit on the Raiders, and all of a sudden, records fell like the snow in Foxborough, and so did opponents. And they got all the way, as we know, to 18-0. But it was really just that one year because Brady got hurt the next year, and then Moss sort of flamed out and fizzled out on schedule in New England, and pretty soon he was gone.
Well, when he played, Moss still put up big numbers even with Castle. It was that, I think it was that third year, Skip, that he started
to come apart, and there was a Monday night game at Miami where it looked like he was quitting on New England, and the next day he was gone.
And they shipped him back to Minnesota.
Okay, and then
Dan Fouts had John Jefferson, Wes Chandler, had Kellen Winslow. That's just the way it works. Skip, you understand that. It's hard.